Each discipline also has its own set of assumptions. These are the principles that underlie the discipline as a whole and its overall perspective on the human condition. Assumptions can be taken for granted because we don't think much about them. Within a discipline, these assumptions can become accepted truths over time. Scholars stop questioning the assumptions that exist within their knowledge frameworks. They stop questioning how they do things, their ways of thinking about the world. When that happens, assumptions can become so ingrained in the discipline that they are mistaken for objective truth. As interdisciplinarians, it's important that we understand the underlying assumptions of a discipline. We don't have to take on those assumptions. We don't have to assume those assumptions, but we need to understand them. We need to recognize them. That's because these assumptions provide clues about how the discipline studies a particular phenomena. One of the assumptions behind using surveys to collect data is that test takers will be honest in how they respond to our questions. But the reality of the situation is that some people do lie and give false information when they fill out self-report surveys. That then is a limitation of any survey that a psychologist administers. By understanding the assumptions that underlie a discipline, we can more easily identify possible sources of conflict and common ground. There are two types or two kinds of assumptions that we can identify within any discipline. A basic assumption is a combination of assumptions that is unique to a discipline. Two different disciplines may share the same basic assumption. Those shared assumptions are called hallmark assumptions. These are assumptions made by the scholars working in a cluster of disciplines. Sociology has its basic assumptions, and then the social sciences have hallmark assumptions. Let's take a look at some of the assumptions in each of the three categories of disciplines. Scholars in the natural sciences make two general assumptions. The first is that they can transcend their cultural experience and take objective measurements of phenomena. In other words, their personal experience does not impact their work. The second assumption is that everything can be measured. Nothing is beyond the scope of the natural sciences. Scholars in the social sciences also make these two assumptions, as well as others that are closely tied to the discipline's research methods, theories, concepts, schools of thought. There's a bit more variance in the social sciences when it comes to the assumptions underlying disciplines. The humanities are grounded in a different set of assumptions. Scholars in the humanities assume that pluralism is best, that a diversity of perspectives is best, and they even assume that the assumptions behind these different perspectives may conflict, may not agree.